Ah, those dreaded black screens. The game-breaking stutters. That sinking feeling in your gut that your entire gaming rig is about to die? Taking your wallet with it? Well, before you panic buy a new graphics card that you cannot afford, because we know you're broke, what if I told you there's actually a 10-minute test that can tell you what's really going on? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to walk you through step by step the process of diagnosing your GPU so you can find out what the true problem is in this story. We're going to go through the symptoms, the software, and finally to the hardware itself. By the end of this, you'll have a clear diagnosis, a solid plan, which could save you an absolute ton of time, stress, maybe hundreds of dollars, and depending on how expensive your rig is, maybe even thousands. So, before we start running tests, let's make sure we're even on the right track. A failing graphics card has a few classic calling cards. And chances are you're seeing at least one of them, because these are fairly common, and I'd be highly surprised if you were not seeing these. The most infamous sign is what we call visual artifacting. Now, visual artifacting is just a fancy way of saying that your GPU is failing to draw things correctly, almost as if someone was drunk and had a pencil in their hand and tried to draw. They wouldn't be able to draw it very well. So, you might see weirdly colored pixels just chilling on your screen, sometimes called space invaders. You could get stretched out polygons, which are like, say for example, you have a window, like a browser window. Instead of it being horizontal, it's stretched out and it's kind of triangular. And you could have a character's face suddenly spike into a geometric nightmare. You might see textures flickering, strange discolored blocks popping in and out. These glitches can happen right when you turn on your PC, or they might only show up when you're in a game. Next up, crashes. And I don't mean your typical the game is buggy crash where your game just crashes. This is much more serious, so you must pay attention and watch through the rest of this video if you want to get your problems fixed. You won't find any information like this anywhere else, so you must pay attention. A dying GPU can cause your whole system to lock up, forcing you to hit the reset button. You might get a sudden black screen before the PC reboots on its own. A super common one, in particular, is the game just giving up and crashing straight to your desktop. Or you could get the classic blue screen of death, or blue screen of death, because sometimes blue screen of death is not as serious as people make it out to be, and it might not be a sign that your GPU is dying, but it can also be a sign that your GPU is dying if it occurs regularly, so keep an eye on that. If you're not familiar with what blue screen looks like this. Often with an error code that hints at your video or driver problem. If this is happening a lot, especially during intense moments of the game, your GPU is looking very suspicious, like I've already said. Then there's the noise. If your graphics card has fans, which most nowadays do because of the processor capabilities, then you probably know what they sound like in a heavy gaming session. A big warning sign is that their sound could suddenly change, and the fans could randomly spin up to 100% out of nowhere. Weird or excessive fan noise can mean the card's overheating because its own cooling system is failing, which is a one-way ticket to a dead GPU. I will be showing some examples of some things very shortly. For now, I'm going to enlarge my myself on the screen here so you guys can see me better. Okay. If any of this sounds familiar, don't worry. It's time to play detective and figure out what's really causing it. The groundwork. Ruling out software conflicts. Before we put hardware through the ringer, we have to make sure the problem isn't just the software. This is a huge one. Corrupted drivers, which drivers are what your graphics card and other peripherals in your computer use to communicate with each other. It's important to have them up to date and to have each version on the same version number so each of them could communicate effectively. And this is the huge one. Corrupted drivers are one of the most common culprits behind issues that look exactly like a dying GPU. Corrupted drivers happen when your driver accidentally installs partway through and cancels and it ends up keeping some files, or if it just downright fails completely but somehow there's still some leftover files. So a completely clean driver installation is the single most important first step. If that doesn't work, I would highly suggest scanning your computer, taking a look down through your task manager in your driver section, seeing what drivers you have installed, what ones you're having problem with, and delete and disable all the ones that are related to the peripheral that you're having problems with, and then reinstall them. Sometimes when you reinstall the new drivers, it won't delete the previous entries. If you need any more help on how to do this, I can put a YouTube short out for you guys and talk to you guys about how to do this very briefly. And I don't mean clicking install on a new driver. We need to go scorched earth. We need to wipe every last trace of the old driver from the system, like I've said. For this mission, we're using a tool every PC gamer should have in their back pocket. Display Driver Uninstaller, or DDU. DDU is a free utility that nukes all the GPU driver files, registry entries, and folders that a normal uninstall leaves behind. Using it's pretty simple, so you guys won't have to worry much about that. If that doesn't work, like I said, go in the task manager, do it manually. But it will be more risky. Not as risky as putting your GPU in an oven though, I guess. First, you need to get 3 things ready. Download the latest version of DDU. 2. Head over to the GPU Maker's website. And 3. Download the stable driver for your specific card, save the installer to your desktop, and do not run it yet. And 3, right before the final step, disconnect your PC from the internet. And this part is key because it stops Windows from trying to be a hero and automatically installing its generic driver in the background. I'll show you how to do that right now, here on screen. So, like I said, you're going to go install DDU. Display Driver Uninstaller. Just going to lay my camera down. Go. So it's performing the verification. I had to do a stupid captcha. Okay, there we go. So now you're going to download Mirror from either EU or USA. I'm using USA since I'm located in Canada and it's quicker for me to download it here. So we're going to extract this. Once you've extracted it, you're going to run the installer file. Once it's extracted, click on the DDU folder, click on Display Driver Uninstaller exe, and then basically we have a bunch of options here. General options: remove present and non-present monitors, save logs, startup path, create a new system, restore point if allowed. So I would recommend creating a restore point. That way you can be able to recover your system in case anything goes horribly wrong, which can sometimes happen using these tools. But it's definitely important to be sure to check remove present and non-present monitors, save logs and startup path, create restore point, remove Vulkan runtime, show offers from our you don't need to show offers from our partners, but automatically check for DDU updates and startup. We can disable that one. Remove NVIDIA driver folders, very important. Remove size X, very important. Remove 3D TV Play, yes. Remove GeForce Experience, yes. Remove NVIDIA Broadcast. Remove the NVIDIA control panel, yes. Remove the NVIDIA shader cache, yes. And for AMD, remove if you're having troubles with AMD as well, like your CPU or maybe your GPU is AMD, click on all of these options right here. Once you're done, click on close. And then click on clean and restart. Then you should be good to go. And that is all for today's video. If you guys want to see more content, be sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and be sure to check out my TikTok as well. Thank you guys for your support on this channel. And yeah, tap that subscribe button. Bye.